Something big is happening between Canada and the US, and it's showing up in the trade war impact on tourism numbers. For the 7th month in a row, Canadians are pulling back from the United States in numbers we haven't seen in years. The data is brutal. Car trips across the border have plunged by nearly 40%, and air travel is down by more than a quarter compared to this time last year. That's hundreds of thousands of people missing from airports, highways, hotel bookings, and vacation hotspots. This isn't just a quiet summer slump. It's part of a growing trend that's hitting the American tourism crisis hard, especially in border states and major cities that used to rely heavily on Canadian visitors. From Montana to Las Vegas, the effects are real. And behind the scenes, there's a mix of political tension, economic backlash, and rising frustration from everyday Canadians that's fueling what some are now calling a Boycott America movement. But here's the thing. This story isn't just about travel. It's about two countries drifting apart, about billions of dollars in lost revenue, and about what happens when national pride turns into personal decisions at the border. So, why is this happening now? What triggered it? And could it get worse? We're about to break it all down with hard data, real-world consequences, and what it means for both sides of the border. Like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay ahead on 2025 travel trends and the global economy. Clear updates you won't find anywhere else. Let's dive in. This isn't a one-time dip or a seasonal blip. It's a full-blown trend. For 7 consecutive months, fewer and fewer Canadian travelers are crossing the border into the United States, and the numbers are now impossible to ignore. According to the latest data from Statistics Canada, July saw a 36.9% drop in car trips from Canada into the US compared to the same month the previous year. That means hundreds of thousands of cars that would typically be filling gas stations, hotels, outlet malls, and national parks across the American border simply didn't show up. And it's not just road travel. Air travel from Canada to the US also fell sharply with a decline of 25.8% in return trips by plane. That's a massive drop when you consider that summer is traditionally one of the busiest travel seasons of the year. To put that into perspective, just over 383,000 Canadian travelers returned home from the US this July. A huge slide from the more than 500,000 who flew the same routes 1 year ago. These aren't just stats. They're signals. These signals indicate that something has fundamentally changed in how Canadians view travel to the United States. And while the numbers are stark, the reasons behind them go much deeper than just vacation preferences. One of the biggest drivers behind this drop in Canadian tourism isn't just about the price of flights or the appeal of other destinations. It's politics. Back in January, the U.S. administration imposed a series of new tariffs on Canadian exports, targeting key industries like lumber, aluminum, and dairy. These moves were part of a broader trade strategy aimed at reducing what the U.S. government called economic dependency. But north of the border, the reaction was swift and furious. The Canadian government responded with retaliatory tariffs, hitting American-made goods, ranging from ketchup to recreational vehicles. But it wasn't just a political tit for tat. Everyday Canadians began to take matters into their own hands. What started as an economic policy quickly turned into a full-fledged consumer backlash on social media. The hashtag Boycott America began trending with Canadians pledging to avoid American brands, cancel U.S. vacations, and keep their dollars at home or in friendlier markets abroad. For many, this wasn't just about trade. It became a matter of principle. Why support a country, they argued, that was actively making life harder for their businesses and communities? Suddenly, what used to be an annual trip to Florida or a weekend in New York turned into a political statement. And just like that, tourism became collateral damage in a brewing cross-border feud. While Canadians might be staying home or choosing Europe, Asia, or even domestic destinations instead, the financial impact of their absence is being felt hard across the United States. Canadian tourists spent more than $25 billion US on American soil. That money flowed into hotels, restaurants, attractions, gas stations, theme parks, and shopping centers, especially in border states like New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and Washington. So, what happens when millions of those travelers stop coming? The answer is simple. Small businesses suffer, jobs go unfilled, and entire regional economies start to wobble. Cities and towns that once relied on Canadian snowbirds and cross-border shoppers are reporting double-digit revenue drops, with some hospitality businesses seeing their slowest summer in a decade. In places like Niagara Falls, New York, tourism officials say traffic is visibly lighter. Hotel bookings are down and seasonal workers are being let go earlier than usual. Over in Vermont, state park officials say fewer Canadian license plates are showing up in their parking lots, especially compared to pre-pandemic levels. This isn't just a few missed vacations. It's a fundamental shift in international travel behavior that's already cutting deep into one of the US's most valuable soft power tools, tourism. If the trend continues, experts warned that the US could lose billions more in tourism revenue before the end of the year. And this isn't just about money. It's also about perception. If you want to see the American tourism crisis play out in real time, look no further than Las Vegas. Often considered one of the most popular U.S. destinations for international tourists, especially Canadians, Las Vegas is feeling the heat. According to data from June, the city experienced an 11% drop in total tourism numbers, with a significant chunk of that coming from missing Canadian travelers. Why Vegas? It's simple. Canadians love it. Between the entertainment, casinos, warm weather, and package deals, Las Vegas has historically been a top destination for travelers from cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary. But not this year. Travel agents in Canada report that bookings to Las Vegas have plummeted by more than 70% compared to the same time last year. One Ontario-based agency said they've had more cancellations than new reservations for Vegas trips this summer. A complete reversal from their usual peak season rush. And it's not just tourism operators sounding the alarm. Hotels on the Strip, particularly those reliant on international foot traffic, have begun offering deep discounts and incentives in an effort to woo back guests. But with rising airfares, political frustration, and the rise of Boycott America sentiment in Canada, those empty rooms are staying empty. In a city built on tourism, even a small shift in visitor patterns can shake the economy. And right now, Las Vegas is showing us just how fragile that relationship has become. Perhaps the most telling reason for the tourism collapse isn't in the numbers, it's in how Canadians feel. Recent surveys conducted across Canada in July show a sharp shift in public sentiment toward the United States as a travel destination. One poll revealed that nearly 2 out of every 3 Canadians now say they feel unwelcome or uncomfortable visiting the U.S. That's not a minor PR problem. That's a national mindset shift.
What has been the change?
For many, it's the politics. The trade tensions, the rising nationalism, and the sharp rhetoric from American leaders in recent months have left Canadians feeling like they're no longer valued as visitors. But it's also about experiences. Reports of longer border waits, tougher immigration screenings, and even rude encounters at customs have made headlines in Canadian media, and those stories spread fast. Then there's safety. Some Canadians cite concerns about crime, gun laws, and social unrest as reasons for staying away. Others say they've simply found friendlier, cheaper, and more welcoming alternatives in Europe, Mexico, and even within Canada itself. In the same survey, only 38% of Canadians said they still view the U.S. as a friendly and desirable destination. That's the lowest number recorded in over 20 years. In short, it's not just about money or even policy. It's about emotion. And once that emotional connection breaks, it's hard to rebuild. While national headlines might focus on politics and policy, the real economic pain is playing out in the small towns and border communities that once depended heavily on Canadian travelers. Places like Plattsburgh in New York, Bellingham in Washington, and Whitefish in Montana have long relied on a steady stream of Canadians coming across the border for weekend getaways, outlet shopping, ski trips, or even just to fill up gas tanks. But in summer, those streams have slowed to a trickle, and local economies are feeling the tariff effects. Small businesses in these areas are reporting revenue drops of 20 to 40%, and many are laying off seasonal workers, cutting hours, or in some cases shutting down entirely. Tourism boards across the northern U.S. are scrambling to adjust marketing strategies, but many admit privately, "We didn't see this coming." In Montana, one business owner said, "It's like Canadians vanished overnight." Campgrounds, restaurants, and souvenir shops near Glacier National Park are eerily quiet this August, typically their busiest month. Meanwhile, real estate listings for vacation rentals in border states have skyrocketed as property owners struggle to fill dates that were once booked months in advance by loyal Canadian travelers. And it's not just a bad summer. Economists are now warning that if this tourism trend's 2025 pattern continues, entire regional economies could face recession-level consequences by the end of the year. This isn't just tourism, it's survival for these towns. This isn't just a slump, it's a signal. The cracks in U.S.-Canada tourism are widening and the ripple effects of this trade war impact are growing. If you want to stay ahead of stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got more coming your way.